So what kind of magic are you practicing? High, low, chaos, white, black, gray, spirit, energy, Gnostic? I could go on. Let's talk about some of the different types. The three main types, and then I'm going to break down some of the modalities for you. Bonus at the end, we're going to talk about the difference between white magic, black magic, and gray magic, and what you should do before you perform gray magic. So the three basic types of magic are high magic, also called ceremonial magic, low magic, also sometimes called witchcraft, paganism, shamanism, there's quite a few of them. And then of course we have chaos magic. It's actually one of the most popular forms of magic today, and it's a combination of both high and low. So let's talk about these three and what are some things you could do with each of them. So high magic. High magic was how I was introduced to magic. High magic is ceremonial magic. It is more orderly and intellectual, and it has a lot of rules to it. And it's something that was practiced in like the castles. You know, it was the magic of the kings and queens, the royalty. It was also the magic that didn't get persecuted back in the day because they were able to put on a facade of, dogmatic religion. Some of them are called, for instance, Gnostic Christianity or Gnostic Catholicism. There's a lot of religious undertones to a lot of the high magic and a lot of ceremonial, or you could say, or ceremonial magic. Have you ever been to a Catholic church, a regular Catholic church? If you have, you've seen high magic ritual. The priests actually are doing ritual up there with the incense and all that stuff, and right, and eating the things and drinking the wine, and all of that is pretty much what you're doing in a lot of high magic stuff. So high magic is based off of the Jewish mystical tradition of the Kabbalah. The Kabbalah is one of its basic foundational teachings of high magic, and that Kabbalah is the tree of life. So when you are studying high magic, when you're doing high magic, you are very focused on a path, a mystical path. A lot of it is very white magic based. It's very much about connecting with your higher self, with divinity, or you could say God, climbing and awakening the tree of life. A lot of the philosophy behind high magic is based on Hermeticism. That would be like, the foundational natural laws of reality, like as above, so below, as within, so without, the law of correspondence. So we use a law of correspondence in high magic a lot. And so if you're doing like path working and meditations on the tree of life and tarot cards and astrology, all of that stuff, then you're going to use correspondences. And that would mean, like, for instance, if you're going to do a sit down and do a meditation on the tree, you can use a tarot card that corresponds as a symbol. You can use an actual symbol. You can use like fire for one of the fire paths, like a candle. You can use colors. So if you're going to do some sphere working with the tree of life on, say, sphere number 8, that would be an orange color. So you could use orange stones surrounding you or orange lighting in the room, right? So we use a lot of correspondences in high magic or ceremonial magic. We do things that are very, you have rules to follow. It's very orderly. So you'll do a ritual that was created and, maybe by a certain tradition, and they'll say, okay, you do it this way, then this way, then this way, then this way, and you do that. Right? And you follow those rules. So it is a little bit dogmatic in a way, especially if you get into one of the orders. A lot of times they'll have their philosophies, they'll have their rituals, their rules, things you say, certain deities they work with. So high magic is a little bit more of that orderly, a lot more intellectual as well, because they study a lot. It's very study based. It's very much based on like symbols and astrology. It's very much based on numerology, Pythagorean mathematics, sacred geometry. It's very like, all right, these are the rules. And it's a good thing to study and to practice, especially if you are new to magic and you are interested in learning a system that you can make work. it's a really great system, and it's how I was introduced. When I started out, I started out with reading some high magic books and really getting into the white magic. Okay, so let's talk about the next one then. Let's talk about what we consider low magic. Low magic is not, less than high magic at all. It actually just means natural magic, earth magic. High magic is intellectual. High magic is, let's study the stars and figure out what corresponds to what. Low magic was created by what we would say is, the farmers and the people that were, living in the cities and the towns. They weren't the royalty, right? They didn't have the gold and the silver that they had up in the castles to do this kind of work. So low magic practitioners, they would do things like they would study shamanism. They would create herbology. They studied the plants. They studied the cycles of the earth, like the moon cycles. And they would do like moon magic or candle magic. And, it's a lot more just earth-based. They would mix up some herbs. And there's a lot of sympathetic magic in that as well. And sympathetic is, this corresponds to this, for instance, voodoo dolls, right? This doll corresponds to this person. And so, because I say it is the same, then therefore so voodoo is a low magic practice. Anything that is very natural based, very earth based, very, watching cycles and just kind of digging in. These are the people that were persecuted a lot because they were not, they couldn't hide behind a church. They couldn't say, oh, well, we're, a Catholic church, or we're whatever we might be. They didn't have that behind them, or the royalty and the money and stuff either. They actually, they were out picking herbs and healing people, and then people were going, oh, you're of the devil, right? So that's low magic. It just means natural magic. So a lot of people today are very drawn to natural magic. They like that idea of, just healing and playing with herbs and crystals and all that stuff. That's low magic. So let's talk about chaos magic then. Chaos magic is a combination of the two, really. It was born in, the 1900s. It was around the 60s and 70s. I believe it was the 70s. I might be wrong. It might have been the 60s. But this is a newer thing. And really what it is it was just like, okay, you have all this high magic stuff going on, right? And then you have all this low magic stuff going on at the time. And people were then cherry picking, right? Saying, well, this works over here, but I don't want to do all that extra ceremonial stuff, right? I kind of like this over here in the low magic too. I think that works. And so people started just cherry picking, and there were two guys that got together and came up with the idea of chaos magic. So Peter Carroll and Ray Sherman, they got together and they decided to come up with a new fraternal order, and that order was the IoT. The IoT is known as, the first and still the main chaos magic fraternal order. And they pretty much developed a system that I'm going to go over with you real quick. But chaos magic, just so you know, it is based on a couple of things and a couple of different ideas and philosophies. And remember, that was the time of the punk era as well. But chaos was the idea that the world was, the universe was created based on the energy of chaos. That was their idea. And that energy of chaos is the life force energy. And that life force energy is what we use in magic. And you can look up Liber Null, which is is pretty much the Bible of chaos magic, pretty much. You can look up Peter Carroll, though, and Sherman and see what all they've written. Take a look at their stuff and just look up chaos magic. There's tons of books out there on it right now. And I can link a couple of them below for you. But I like chaos magic a lot. But, there are different types of chaos magicians. I'll just put it that way. Okay. You have the kind that are really just like, do whatever. And then there's other ones that are a little bit more, light worker based, a little bit more high magic based, and just like to use what works, which is what I consider myself. So let's talk about what is it that makes you a chaos magician? So the main point to really understand about chaos magic is that it's results-oriented magic. So they say anything is permitted in chaos magic, because really you don't have rules. It's not like, oh, you have to do the lesser banishing ritual, the pentagram, like this. They just kind of throw everything out and say experimentation and the individual practitioner are what matters, because everyone's truth is different. Everything's very relative. So what works for you might not work for somebody else. And I know that's very true in my life and in my world and what I see in terms of magic. There are some systems that work very well, though. I, as a practitioner, I study high magic a lot, but I'll throw out a lot of things that I feel like are unnecessary for me or too much, going on ritualistically. I'd rather just focus in on the Gnostic trance, which is a big part of chaos magic. The Gnostic trance is all about single pointed focus, going into a major altered state, and you can get there a lot of different ways. You can get there through ecstatic gnosis, which is where you like dance or you have sex or orgasm. And then you have the inhibitory Gnostic trance, which is where you're doing like breath work and you're slowing down. Maybe you're smoking weed. You're doing things that get you down to that more, very, very slow brainwave state. And then from there, once you get into the Gnostic state, whatever that might be for you, then that is when you put your intent. And then a big thing with it is to just forget about it. So chaos magicians, will create sigils, and you might create, one sigil, or you might create a bunch of different sigils for things. And then after you did your intent and you drew them or whatever, you kind of put them away. And then you went back and you used the Gnostic method to use those sigils energetically to put them into the astral. And after you do that, then you forget, and you already forgot before you even did the Gnostic method. Like I said, you drew them with intent, put them away, forget about them, and then you pull them back out, do the Gnostic method, and then just burn them or whatever, right? So it's very much about the Gnostic method. And also another big thing is it's very psychological. It's very much based on Jungian psychology and the archetypes. So for instance, if you're into like high magic, you might work with certain deities on the tree of life, and that is like real to you. But in the Gnostic method, in this chaos magic method, you would say, all right, I'm going to work with these deities over here in low magic and high magic, and I'm just going to work with whoever the heck I want. And then I'm going to create my own as well, because to you, they're all archetypal. They're archetypes and they're part of our own consciousness. And so you look at them more like a psychologist, like Carl Jung. They're more about what do they represent? What do they mean? What does the myth behind it mean? And so how does that play out in your subconscious? And how do you use that then to create that in your reality? So you can see chaos magic is very creative. And I really love the Gnostic method, which is one of my all-time favorite for manifesting things. So that's why I consider myself a chaos magician, because I do very much rely on that heavily, Gnostic methods, and also just cherry picking and creating my own system. So I really can't subscribe to any other system out there and say, oh yes, I am this or I am that. I just say, well, I guess you can say I'm a chaos magician, because I don't have a title. I used to just say I don't have a title. So anyways, that's a little bit of a breakdown, but think about also the ideas of white, black, and gray magic. These are also important things to consider. White magic is very much based on the idea of connecting with divinity, connecting with God source, connecting with your higher self. It's about the mystical path. And on the tree of life, it's the straight up middle path, the middle pillar. It's about, going up the middle pillar and really opening your chakras and connecting to your divinity, your higher self, and to God's source and awakening, right? It's the mystical path. That's white magic. That's like invoking more white light, banishing negative energies, developing yourself, evolving, okay? And so chaos magic to me is just more of an evolution of those other two ideas of magic, high and low. So then we have black magic. A lot of people, they ask me, well, magic is evil, isn't it? Well, no. Not unless you're maybe doing black magic, because black magic is usually things where you want to create ill intent against someone or change someone else's will, which to me, that's very much black magic. You don't want to mess with someone else, someone else's free will. with their divine will, whatever that may be. So for instance, a love spell. Love spells are fine if you are doing that with the Gnostic method and you're just like, hey, I just want to attract like the right person to me. I want to attract this person that I feel like would be like a wonderful soulmate. But if you're focused on one person, if you're thinking about one person when you do magic, that is then a black magic, because now you're affecting a single person's free will, whether they're meant for you or not. You don't want to do that. That's black magic, because that creates karma. It creates, cause and effect. You're going to cause this like energetic connection, pulling, and the effect might be really bad. Because maybe they were meant for someone else and now you're pulling them into you. They might have had something, karmically going on with somebody else. So anyways, that's a little bit about black magic. A lot of people, they even go into real evil extremes and stuff with black magic. It's just ill intent, or when you do something and you don't necessarily have ill intent, but again, you're affecting someone against their will, or doing something behind someone's back that they don't know, doing anything negative, hurting someone, hurting anything, is really black magic. White magic, again, was more, God connection. And then gray magic, that is something that you should practice every once in a while. Gray magic is changing your external reality, right? So you do a bunch of white magic to really evolve yourself and to really just become a better spiritual being, more connected to your higher self, right? Awakening your psychic gifts. And then once you have more of that divine light, then you start doing gray magic. And with gray magic, you need to be a little bit developed to do gray magic. And when I say developed, I mean, okay, you need to know how to do a divination system before you practice gray magic. A divination system is just like reading tarot cards, reading oracle cards, reading the I Ching, anything that can give you guidance, intuitive guidance about the decision you're going to make with the gray magic. So if you're trying to make a decision in life, even if you're not doing gray magic, you're just trying to make a decision, the divination systems can give you a lot of clear guidance. They can clear up things for you. So a big part of the magic world is learning a divination system, learning to tap in and to channel even to your higher self. So that way, when you're doing gray magic, you're making decisions based on your soul purpose rather than against your own soul purpose and creating more karma, right? So gray magic is when you're trying to change something, right, in your life, maybe attracting a lover, trying to make more money, trying to live your higher purpose, trying to find out what your higher purpose is, trying to help yourself health-wise, or find out why you're having a health problem or what it is. All of those kinds of things are gray magic. Gray magic is a lot of times when we do, like, especially in chaos magic, we do sigil magic, especially sigil sex magic. And when you do that, you're actually trying to manifest change in your reality. You're changing things in the astral in order to affect change in the physical, right? So gray magic is wonderful, but just make sure, again, that you do a divination first. And then, of course, there's spirit magic and energy magic. These are two of the main types of magic. Of course, there are other types of magic. Including, I would say angel magic is another one. So I'll talk about all three briefly. Well, energy magic is where you, of course, use like the Gnostic method, put energy into things like sigils, and try to manifest things with your energy, right? And so a lot of times we'll work up our energy and then use that energy to manifest something. So that would be like energy magic. That's like a simplified form of energy magic. If any of you are into like Reiki or Qigong or any type of energy healing, energy work, then you would really probably be into energy magic. A lot of people are into energy magic and they don't even realize what they're doing. But then we have, beyond energy magic, we have spirit magic. Spirit magic is when you work with spirits. It's when you like invoke actual spirits. And some people say that they are forms of consciousness. Some people say they're aspects of ourself. Some people say they are actual entities. Everybody has like a different theory on spirits. But invoking spirits, that can be, you can even go into like Enochian magic, Goetic magic, Luciferian magic. Anytime you invoke an actual, you could say a god form, or you could even say an angel or a demon, anything that you could invoke into yourself or invoke, or what we call evoke which means that you are bringing it to communicate with you. So evoke would be that you want to actually have it right there so that you can actually communicate with it. Whereas invoking is like channeling it through you, invoking it into you. Spirit magic is something that I don't really work with. I am an energy magic practitioner. I practice a lot of high magic types of things and sigil magic. So spirit magic isn't a thing that I do a lot unless you consider angel magic spirit magic. I do a lot of angel magic. Angel magic is in a way, it's kind of like a combination of spirit magic and energy magic. You could say either way, because the archangels are supposed to be a higher level of consciousness, a higher frequency on the planes. And so when you invoke an archangel, you are invoking a certain frequency and you are asking it to assist you with something. Like, for instance, you might invoke Archangel Raphael, one of my favorites to talk about because it's the healer of God. You would invoke Archangel Raphael to assist you with maybe healing, especially mental healing, because it's an air angel. You can ask that energy to come in and help you with communication, help you with a presentation, because again, it's air element. You can invoke, Michael to come in and protect you or to cut cords. And so really all you're doing is you can focus on a sigil that represents that angel, or you could just visualize a color that corresponds to the angel and then, chant the name of the angel. There's so many different ways to do angel magic work. There's actually a lot of different ways. But that kind of method is a kind of combination, like I said, of energy and spirit magic in a way. So those are some of the main modalities out there. And I mean, I could go into all kinds of little things different things you can do with energy magic or with spirit magic. But yeah, that's just the gist of it. So my 3 basic steps for you to do if you want to get into magic and you're not really sure about it yet. Start with white magic, alchemical magic, energy magic, white magic, right? All of that is that mystical awakening work. And then you want to practice a divination system, you want to learn one, and then you practice gray magic. So those are the 3 steps if you want to get into more power in your life and empowering your soul, empowering your own, life in this reality, and really stepping it up a bit. So those are the 3, and let me know if you have any questions or any suggestions for new videos.